This is Jack Porter, Yellow Dog Fly Fishing, and here we're going over the equipment list and packing list for Bolivia. Alright, so we're going to go over the flies for going to Bolivia. The main target species is the golden Dorado. So we'll start there. Really, it's not too complicated. The most important thing is the profile of a bait fish fly and the quality hook. The hook is absolutely more important than the color, the pattern, or anything. It's important to have a range of colors, so I really encourage people to bring, some light colored flies and some dark color flies. So I'll just run through a few here that I like. I like to have a lot of these, like green or chartreuse over white. I also prefer an unweighted head, especially if you're going and you run into low and clear water. A heavy fly with dumbbell eyes is going to land, with a lot of force on the water and can often spook fish. So having these unweighted flies makes it really easy to get a nice presentation, deliver the fly quietly, and to get action on it right away. You can see these are about 4, 5, 6 inches. Again, not terribly important. You're more looking for this profile and then a range of colors. So as we move down the line here, I've got a little more flash, a little more yellow coming into it, then a slight variation there. And then I also always like to have some dark ones. Black and purple, black and red, black and yellow. This is kind of a good range. And again, any color will get it done, just kind of this size. In case you run into high water, which can happen, it's the jungle, it's the rainforest, you can get rain events. I've been there before when the river comes up. It's nice to have some weighted flies. So something like this is kind of perfect, in my opinion. It's got a big head, pushes a lot of water. When it's not as clear as in low conditions, the fish are very sensitive to their environment. So a big fly like this that's moving water will actually attract the fish. They're able to find it more than a fly like this, which is more of a visual presentation. So having a couple of these in your box is always important. And, you may use them in clear water as well if you need to get down, if you need to fish deeper water. So just having some variety. Most of the time you're going to probably be fishing some unweighted flies, but having these weighted flies is really important. Then we'll get into some of the other species. The pacu is another really popular target species at the lodges. It's a really different fish. You're generally targeting them in slower water. They're in schools. They're omnivores, so they don't only eat bait fish. They'll eat nuts and seeds, fruit, leaves, all kinds of stuff. So it's pretty common to fish these with surface flies. I mean, that's, of course, the most fun. So having some gurglers like this, varying sizes, colors. This can be kind of anything. It could be a big insect in the jungle. It could be, a mouse, something struggling on the surface. It's just imitating life. And of course, really exciting to fish when you watch them come up and eat it. You can slap this on the water and leave it, and they'll come find it, or you can twitch it, and they'll come to it as well. Clouser, always a trusted pattern for pretty much any game species. So these will get it done for, the situations where you want to go subsurface. I mentioned they also eat nuts and fruits. Most fly shops don't have nut and fruit patterns. So we can always, rely on the lodge and the guides for those really specialty patterns. They tie their own. They're really specifically only made for that fishery. So, you might not be able to find every single thing at a fly shop, but the lodge is aware of that, and they have some really cool, unique patterns for that fishery on site. So always bring a little extra cash just to fill in the gaps. But with this stuff, you should be set. And then lastly, the yatarana is another target species down there. It's kind of a smaller version of the Dorado, if I had to summarize it quickly. They will take these larger flies that you're using for the Dorado, and oftentimes they'll just kind of appear and you just throw whatever you have on at them, and generally they'll do it. If you want to target them specifically, though, a smaller bait fish pattern like a clouser or anything like this is going to get the job done. And for all of these species, all of these patterns, the most important thing is a high quality hook, something that's not going to bend out on you. You want to have confidence that when you're fishing 40-pound wire, that hook's going to remain intact and you're going to stay connected to the fish and ultimately land it. So here's the box that I take down to Bolivia. Obviously there's a lot of flies in here. You definitely don't need this many. I recommend probably 24 flies for a week-long trip there. And again, a variety of colors. So here you can see I've got a lot of dark patterns here, and then a lot of lighter colored patterns here, some flashy ones here, and of course varied weights like we talked about. That's going to be really important. I also have a few poppers. They're not necessarily a go-to down there, but I do like to have them just in case the fish are willing to come up to eat off the surface. Nice to have some poppers. This is obviously a big box, not easy to travel with. So this goes in my checked bag. Anytime you put something in checked luggage, there's a risk of it not showing up. So I always like to remove about a dozen flies or so and bring that in my carry-on. That way, if my bags don't make it, I've got my 12 favorite flies, in varied weights, colors, sizes, and I'm ready to fish no matter what happens. But this, folds up. It's not terribly heavy, and it fits pretty nice in the bag. So that's what I do.